If you're looking for an interesting place to take your date, then look no further than Saucony Creek. This brewery and gastropub features an extensive craft brewed beer list, creative food menu, and warm atmosphere. But before you order that beer, let's go on inside and take a look at how it's made.
So, when the grains come in, they initially look like this. They're actually delicious. So, we have the grain mill. If we didn't do this, you wouldn't be able to get all the sugars and flavors out of them, so what you do is you put them in here, 2 little rollers, grind them up, dehusk them, turn them into a finer kind of powder, and that's going to travel along this tube here, all the way up into the mash tun. Here we have the mash tun. It's here the grains are initially delivered. They're going to come into this vat, and they're going to sit in a water of a certain temperature. Now, this temperature could be anything, but say we're making an IPA. It's going to be something like 180 degrees. Once all of the grains are done being added, it will cool the temperature down to somewhere around 150. This is what you call a target temperature. Now, after that, you seal it up, you let it sit for an hour. The grains are going to cook, they're going to release sugars and flavors. That's why grains and different brews can have different types of grains to get different flavors. So after it sits for an hour, and all the sugars are released, all the grains are cooked, it is going to be drained. The grains remain behind, and you strain them out, and all of the liquid goes over here to the kettle. Now, once we're done with that 1 hour period, the liquid is now referred to what we call wort. From there, the wort enters the kettle, as we said. In here, we add the hops, which gives it that classic beer flavor. Now, depending on what you're making, you add more or less hops, and there are, let me tell you, lots of different types of hops. There's Cascade, there's Mosaic, there's Citra. I mean, the list goes on, and those are just the popular ones. So, once in the kettle, again, we have roughly a brewing time of about an hour. The longer you brew it, generally speaking, the more alcohol content you have, also known as ABV. So that's what you get. You put it in the kettle, you throw in the hops, and you cook it for an hour at boiling temperature. So, after the mash tun, after the kettle, now the hops and the sugars from the grains are in it. They come to these fermenting tanks. They sit here for days, weeks, and slowly the sugars will turn into alcohol over time, and that's what makes beer fun. So, during the fermentation process, a lot of CO2 and other gas products are released. If there's no way to release these, then eventually the fermenting vats would just explode with too much pressure. Enter the blow-off tube. Here we get all the CO2 and other products go down into here and into the water. Creates an airtight seal and doesn't let contaminants in. So as you saw, this one was pretty clean. It's not always the case, but sometimes when it isn't clean, it's not the worst thing ever. In this kind of example, we have what develops. It's called krausen. It's actually a foamy head that comes on top of the water. And it may look bad, but it's actually completely innocuous. So, one last stop before bottling is CO2. We need carbonation in beer for it to really be beer, because no one likes flat beer. So after the fermentation tanks, bring it over here. We add the CO2 artificially, and in short time it's ready to bottle and be enjoyed by everyone.
So bring that special someone by tonight and impress them with not only this great location, but also how much you know about beer. Take a seat at the bar and grab some food, grab some brews, and watch the hours just melt away. Saucony Creek is located just outside Kutztown on Route 222.